August has officially arrived, which means it's time for my July monthly wrap of what feels like long last. Welcome back to Mr. Francy Reads. Let's go! Yes, hello and welcome back to Mr. Francy Reads. I am of course Mr. Francy, and I'm truly honoured that you've once again chosen to join me today. I love the lighting. As I present my July monthly wrap for 2025. Oh my goodness, we have a lot of books to talk about, so we're going to jump right in. Before we do a little bit of housekeeping, if you would like to know more about my thoughts on these books than time allows, with so many books in this monthly wrap, please do feel free to check out my July playlist, where I have all of my reading and weekly vlogs. I go into a lot more detail over there than time permits in these monthly wraps. Now we're going to start off the wrap with my stats for the month. I just like putting them out there, not for anything comparative, not for anything bad, or putting myself down, just because I find numbers to be fun. So, here we go. For the month of July, I read a total of 15 books. They were all cozy mysteries, and so their sub-genres comprised of 6 culinary cozies, 3 animal cozies, 2 B&B retirement home retirement village cozies, 1 pop culture cozy, 1 paranormal cozy, 1 bookish cozy, and 1 Christmas cozy, because why the heck not? Let's taste the entire rainbow! To my age groups, I read 15 cozy mysteries all up. To my lengths, and I read 1 3/4 tome, 10 half tomes, and 3 novellas, totaling 4,560 pages, which is a lot. But it was a really interesting month. To my star ratings, and alongside the 15 books that I did read, I also had 1 DNF. Outside of that 1 DNF, I was pretty much evenly split throughout the board of 5, 4, and 3 stars. I read 5 5 stars, 5 4 stars, and 5 3 stars. So, there you go. Alright, grab yourself something nice to eat, something warm to drink, and we're going to jump right on in. Okay, before we actually do jump right in, I just want to quickly address something from my last video, my August TBR. I know that about 3/4 of the way through, I said, I'm going to put these books up here on the screen, and then I never did. And I just want to explain why I fully intended to put those books up on the screen that I didn't have yet in my August TBR, but then when it came to time to editing, I was distracted while I was editing, so I totally forgot to do that. So I'm really sorry. I had the intention of doing it, it just didn't happen. But those books will be here at some point, and you'll see them in this month's this month's weekly reading vlogs. Okay. We're going to start off reviewing the month with the 1 book that I DNF, because it's always good to start on a tough note and end on a positive one. Now, a lot of y'all out there said I'm going to absolutely love this book, and unfortunately it just wasn't for me, so I'm really sorry. I know a lot of y'all love it. It didn't work for me. The 1 book that I DNF'd in the month of August was this book, Plantation Shudders by Ellen Byron. This is book number 1 in the Cajun Country Cozy Mystery series, and I'll quickly explain to you why I DNF'd, because I did not get far into it at all. Chapter 1 of this book is very overly descriptive. I'm not a fan of overly descriptive books, which is why I do stand alone when it comes to the classic series Lord of the Rings. I don't like Lord of the Rings. I don't like that J.R.R. Tolkien is overly descriptive. If that's your jam, you'll probably love chapter 1 in this book. Just wasn't for me. But I did continue on to chapter 2, which was, fortunately, less descriptive. But it was a little bit offensive to a plus-size person, and in fact it was our main character who, in their mind, was being offensive to a plus-size person, and that just didn't work for me. By the time I got to chapter 3, those 2 things combined was enough for me to DNF. So, I am not continuing on with this series. It just was not my cup of tea, but it might be for you. So if that interests you, then please do pick up the book. Just didn't work for me. Once again, to save time, all the books I read were adult cozy mysteries, so I'm not going to repeat myself with every single book that I hold up saying this is an adult cozy mystery, because they all are adult cozy mysteries. So, the first book that I read officially finished in the month of July 2025 was this book, Honey Roasted, by Cleo Coyle. This is book number 19 in the Coffee House Cozy Mystery series, and I gave this book 3 stars. Now, the basic setup for this series is that we follow Claire Cosey, who runs a cafe, The Village Blend, in Greenwich Village in New York. In this particular book, her ex-husband's mother, who she has a close relationship with, who is named Madame's oldest and dearest friend, B, is found knocked out by Claire and Mateo, but where are B's bees? That's right, B owns a greenhouse that has bees in it. So, tongue twister and a half. Bees. As someone who kept a greenhouse full of honey makers, it's weird that her bees are gone, but is it connected to the nests of bees found at the Village Blend? Only time will tell. Yeah, so very much a bee-inspired read. The one tidbit we got for coffee, being that the book is called Honey Roasted, talks about honey coffee beans, which is not coffee beans with honey added, but the way that they are processed gives them more of a coffee, I don't want to say flavor, but a coffee feel to them, if that makes sense. But anyway, it was a very short tidbit, and that did annoy me. I have to say the mystery was absolutely amazing, but the cozy theme side did let me down, because I am used to learning a lot more about coffee in my coffee house books than I got with this one. So yeah, that was kind of annoying. But all in all, I gave this book 3 stars. I am continuing on. I have 2 books left until I'm completely up to date, and who knows what I'm going to do when I'm done with this series, and I'm not going to read anymore till the next one comes out. 3 stars. The next book that I read was this book, which is Candy Slain Murder by Maddie Day. This is book number 8 in the Country Store Cozy Mystery series, and I gave this book also 3 stars. So the series premise of this one is that we follow Robbie Jordan, who runs a part country store, part B&B, part, something else. Cafe. Diner, sorry. Part country store, part diner, part B&B, in South Lake in Indiana. In this particular, book, as December sweeps through South Lake, Indiana, Robbie's life seems merry and bright, like the string lights glistening around town, but strange happenings signal a bumpy ride into the holidays. First, a man raises eyebrows at pans and pancakes when he claiming to be the long-lost half-brother of Robbie's assistant, enters the cafe. Then a fire destroys the home of a controversial anesthesiologist, exposing skeletal remains in his attic. Helplessly intrigued, I should say, all Robbie wants for Christmas is to stop her winter wonderland from becoming a real nightmare. With a decades-old mystery taking shape, can she solve the mystery? Wow, that premise was really... We'll move on. Look, starting with the cons, the mystery just didn't intrigue me at all. I found myself easily distracted from it. Also, the feature of another needle, or if you will, injection needle, yep, in this series got to me. It's just not cozy using needles / injections in cozy mysteries, in my opinion. In saying that, I love that it's set in Indiana, and the sayings that come with that culture are hilarious. I also love Robbie as a main character, and I really enjoyed the cozy side of meeting Dana's brother, who, Dana's someone that Robbie has employed to work for her. Owing to the lackluster mystery and inclusion of another needle / injection in the series, I bumped my rating down to 3 stars. The next book that I read was this book, A Midwinter's Tale by Sophie Kelly. This is book number 6 in the A Magical Cats Cozy Mystery series, and I gave this book 4 stars. So in this series, we follow Kathleen Paulson, who is a human who works at a library, but do not go into the series for the library because that is not the point. Kathleen has been adopted by, not the other way around, she's been adopted by 2 cats, Owen and Hercules, who you can see there on the cover. That is Owen, that is Hercules, and depending upon whatever mystery is happening will really depend on Kathleen's motivation to try and solve that mystery, but Owen and Hercules will ensure she'll solve the mystery come heaven or high water. So in this particular book, Winter in Maryville Heights is busy, and not just because of the holidays. Kathleen is hard at work organising a benefit to raise money for the library's popular Reading Buddies program. She has her hands full hosting the event, and when a guest at the gala drops dead, her magical cats Owen and Hercules will have their paws full helping her solve a murder. Now, I did not care for the mystery in this one. I get how some may find it intriguing, but for me it took up too much time away from the cats, especially in the first half of the book. In saying that, any time spent with Owen and Hercules is an absolute joy, also hilarious at time. Growing to really love this series, I'm actually going to start reading 2 books from this series every month, starting this month in August, and I gave this one 4 stars. The next book that I read was this book, Mrs. Morris and the Vampire by Tracy Wilton. This is book number 5. I did just check. Yes. This is book number 5 in the A Salem B&B Cozy Mystery series, and I gave this book also 4 stars. The premise of this book is that Charlene Morris, her husband and child were unalived prior to book number 1, so she decides to have a sea change and purchase a mansion in Salem, Massachusetts that she converts into a B&B. In book 1, she meets a resident ghost of that mansion named Jack, who is still there to this day, and every single book is paranormal cozy mystery where we solve mysteries, and Jack is there along the way to assist her from being bound to the house. But anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed the mystery series as a whole. In this particular one, Charlene is the judge of a Halloween costume contest, but before she can announce the winners, she's distracted by a witch resident's love for a man who claims to be a vampire. At exactly midnight, the vampire disappears and then winds up washed up on shore. But what happened? I love vampire fictional reads, always have, always will, so that very much helped to elevate the rating of this series, of this particular book, sorry. I do love the series overall. I just felt like the reveal did let me down after I enjoyed the lead up to it, and that's where I docked 1 star, but everything else I absolutely loved about it, and I highly recommend this one if you don't mind paranormal light cozy mystery series. But I will give you a heads up, book number 2 in this series is paranormal heavy, but book 1 and the rest of the books are very paranormal light, with the paranormal side very much focusing on this ghost Jack, who is a resident ghost at Charlene's B&B. 4 stars for this one. The next book that I read was this book, Papoosed, by Patricia Rockwell. This is book number 2 in the An Essie Cobb Senior Sleuth Cozy Mystery series, and I gave this book 5 stars. And I just have to say I love this series so much, and my version of the premise of this series, which Patricia Rockwell may disagree with, is whatever happened to the Golden Girls after that series went off the air? Well, in my view, this is what happened to them. You're listening? Listen up. 10 years later, they all end up in a nursing home and change their first name. Otherwise, they're the same people, just 10 years later in a nursing home, again, with different names. We follow Essie Cobb, who in my opinion is the Blanche character. Essie has 3 friends. Faye, who reminds me of Sophia, Opal, who reminds me of Dorothy, and Marjorie, who reminds me of Rose. And we just have a lot of fun trying to solve mysteries in this nursing home with these characters who are very much the Golden Girls 10 years later. So if that sounds like something that interests you, I highly recommend picking up the series. In this particular book, sorry, just need to get to it. In this particular book, the chef of the nursing home calls Essie into the back room because he has a baby there. Turns out one of his fellow employees has left this baby there, was planning on coming back for it but hasn't returned yet, and it turns out that this woman, the fellow employee, doesn't even have a green card. She's in the country illegally, so he wants Essie to look after the baby, because if the baby is found, then it's gonna cause a whole lot of issues. So it was a really hilarious book as far as the theme side of it, having these, in my opinion, Golden Girl characters 10 years later trying to look after this baby. It was just really, really cute, and trying to make sure it doesn't cry or whatever so it'll be discovered. The mystery does involve trying to find the mother, find out what happened to the mother. I really enjoyed it. 5 stars. Highly recommend it. And of course, I am continuing on with this series in August. The next book that I read was this book, Perfectly Deadly by Nick Saint, which is an authoring duo of husband and wife, which is Nick Saint, N-I-C-K, Saint, and Nicole, N-I-C-O-L-E, Saint, who write this series. And I found out recently that book number 98 is ready to go. Can you believe it? Unfortunately, only, where are we? I'm just quickly checking because the list is right there, so I do apologize for looking away. Only the first 4 books are available on audiobook, which I have a big complaint for because the narrator does a bang-up job with these audiobooks. So come on, can we please keep going and get all 98, and I'll be there for 100 audiobooks out there. But anyway, the basic setup for this series as a whole is that we followed this cat, Max, who is a blorange cat, which is a blonde orange. I keep going to say blood orange because I'm thinking of the fruit. Blonde orange cat who can talk to humans, but only one human understands cats in this world, which is the human he lives with. So next door to his human is her grandparents, and they live with their cat, Dooley, who is Max's best friend, and Harriet, who is Max's friend depending upon the day. Reason for this is because a new cop came to town in book number 1 with his cat, Brutus, who believes that since his human is a cop, he is the cop of all the cats, which Max strongly disagrees with, and so do I. The problem with this when it comes to Harriet is that Harriet has fallen head over heels in love with Brutus, and so it causes quite a bit of chaos. This book and series so far has just been so much fun. If you are looking for something different to sparkle your cozy mystery day reads with, then I highly recommend this series because we're following a cat. I mean, it's just so good. Seriously, and it's a male cat too. There's nowhere near enough male main character led cozy mystery books out there. So if you're looking to fulfill a male voice prompt for a cozy mystery read, this works. But also, it's a male cat. I mean, the world building is incredible. I end up giving this book a total of 5 stars. It was so much fun. Quickly, the premise was Max's human, Odelia, has an appointment to interview a famous rock and roll star for the paper she writes. Max is thrilled to be going with her, as rumor is this star has many cats who eat this amazing food called pate. Ooh! Not long after they arrive, Max and Dooley find the star head first in the pool of his backyard. Objects lying around suggest a party. With the star's boyfriend sleeping in his car out the front, it doesn't look good for him. But the more the layers are pulled back on this mystery, the more Max and his friends and his human will learn about the rock star. It was absolutely fantastic. Mystery side, cozy side, theme side, world building, everything about it was absolutely fantastic. 5 stars. You just need to give it a go. If you haven't heard of the series before, it is absolutely a hidden gem. As I say, book 98 is already out. Wow. 5 stars for this one. The next book that I read was this book, Dying for Wine, parentheses, Seeing Red, by Marcy Blessy, which is book number 2 in the Tucson Valley Retirement Community Cozy Mystery Series. And yes, that is a mouthful. And I gave this book 4 stars. The basic setup for this series is that we follow Rosie, a performing arts director in the Tucson Valley Retirement Community in Arizona. Coziness for this series does include Keaton, the love interest, who is not a cop or a detective. Keaton is actually a gardener, so yeah, very much not a cop or a detective. And also Rosie's puppy, Barley. In this particular book, now as a performing arts director, Rosie is preparing for one final show before the retirement community itself flies south for the upcoming season. Immediately, there are issues as 2 men, both pegged to play the same role, are constantly bickering. After the one-night-only show is deemed a success, Rosie finds one of the men backstage murdered. On her watch, Officer Daniel requests Rosie's help to solve the murder. I absolutely loved it. The only reason I docked a star is because the humor of book 1 did not translate into book 2. The reason for that is because Rosie first moves to the the Tucson Valley Retirement Community area in book 1, and so the humor was very much the duck out of water experience humor, but because Rosie's more used to the area now, that humor's gone, because she's used to everything. But otherwise, I still thought it was an amazing book, and it still got 4 stars, and I am reading the third, and so far for me, final book, because it's the last book on audio. We'll let it go in August. 4 stars. The next book that I read was this book, Never Blame the Gardener by Alex Wagner. This is book number 2 in the A Case for the Master Sleuth Cozy Mystery series, and I gave this book 4 stars. The premise set up for this series is that we follow this dog, an Alaskan Malamute named Athos. Athos lives with his human, who I think her name is Victoria. Yes, it is. There you go. And now also lives with a kitten named Pearl, because in book 1, Pearl's human was unalived, which became the mystery of book 1. So at the end of book 1, Athos's human, Victoria, adopts Pearl. The only reason I'm telling you that is to explain why both animals are on the cover. We do follow the perspective of Athos, not of Pearl, but Athos and Pearl do get on quite well. In this particular book, Professor Adler, distinguished historian and Athos's former owner, had died in a tragic accident. At least that has been the official story until now. But a former employee of the professor is very insistently interested in his estate, and suddenly dies himself under suspicious circumstances. Does the gardener of the neighboring property, seemingly a very friendly two-legged, have both men on his conscience? Athos and Pearl's sleuthing instincts are called for because the police may be on the wrong trail. I absolutely loved it. I gave the book 4 stars. There were 2 mysteries that we were trying to solve. One did involve Pearl. The one that involved Pearl really intrigued me. The one that involved the former employee of Athos's former human didn't intrigue me as much, so I docked a star there. But I loved everything else about it, and I highly recommend it. In this one, we follow a male dog. In Mysteries of Max, we follow a male cat. If you're a dog lover, a cat lover, we have something to, keep you sparkling in your Cozy Mystery Series read experience. 4 stars from me. Okay, I am only halfway into my monthly wrap, and we are fastly running out of time, so I'm going to shorten my reviews even more as we continue, because I want to get through all these books so I can put them away in the bookshelves and move on to August. So again, I reiterate, please check out my reading/weekly vlogs throughout the month if you want to see more. And for the books that I haven't covered in my reading/weekly vlogs so far, I will do a reading/weekly vlog that makes up for that, so that we have more time to talk about those ones as well. Alright, the next book that I picked up was prompt number, where are we? In my A to Z bingo board. This is the second book, so I've crossed that prompt off now, which is the beloved Bookroom Mystery Series. Book number 2 is called A Perfect Bind, and it's by Dorothy St. James, and I gave this book 3 stars. Look, in this series we follow True Beckett, a librarian from Cypress in South Carolina. I have to say, just focusing on my thoughts of book number 2, I truly enjoyed book 1, but after reading book 2, I think that's more based on the premise of the series theme. Having already gone through that premise, this book lacked a lot of what the first book offered me. I did not find the mystery intriguing, and a lot of the side characters I didn't find enjoyable either. It also doesn't help that I can feel the length of the book. It did tend to drag quite a bit. I do love every moment with True and the love interest Jace, don't get me wrong, but as this is a cozy mystery and not a romance, I honestly think I'm good to leave this series here. Because this is book number 2, I was able to cross off the prompt on my A to Z bingo board, and I will not be continuing on with the series. But I think if you like the idea of a kind of a dystopian cozy, where physical books are not allowed to be read, but the main character is hiding a secret room where she does still loan out physical books, if that works for you, then I do recommend picking up the series. I thought book 1 was fantastic. Book 2 just let me down. 3 stars. The next book I picked up was my H or H prompt from my A to Z bingo board, book number 2 in the A Sunny Side Up Cozy Mystery series by Rosie A. Point, Muffin But Murder. In this series we follow Sunny Charles, who is running her aunt's cafe while she's away on a cruise. Sunny is also looking after her cat, Bodger, and that is set in Parfait in Florida. I do love the series overall, and I do think I will continue on with it as well as other works by Rosie A. Point, but in saying that, I didn't enjoy this book as as much as the first one. There was a lot of humor in the first book, which, again, just like with Tucson Valley Retirement Community, with this one, I feel was the whole duck out of water experience that we didn't have in this one. So just like with that same book, I docked a star because the humor wasn't there as much. But in saying that, I do love Parfait as the setting and getting to know everyone in the cafe. I do wish we saw Sunny actually cook, which we see a little bit of in book 1, but not all in book 2. All in all, it was a good, refreshing, short, cozy mystery, and I do want to read more of Rosie A. Point because I do love her works that I've read so far. 4 stars. The next book that I picked up was my first of 2 for my L prompt on the A to Z Cozy Mystery Bingo board, and that is the Deep Dish Cozy Mystery series by Mindy Quigley, book number 1 being called 6 Feet Deep Dish. We don't have enough time for me to explain how much I love this book, but it is in my latest reading blog, so go back and watch that there. But the basic setup is that we follow Delilah D. O'Leary, who runs a deep dish restaurant in Geneva Bay in Wisconsin, and the only other thing I'm going to tell you is it's extremely culinary, and here's a bonus other thing I can tell you, Dee is unapologetically herself, which I absolutely love. I thought the culinary side could have been amped up a little bit owing to the overall length of the book, and while there were some lulls, everything else was done really, really well. I really appreciated that Quigley makes Delilah unapologetically herself. Dee doesn't pussyfoot around things, she jumps right in and says and does things unfiltered. I also love that her cat named Butterball is not skinny, because it's mentioned that Butterball is overweight, but Dee still loves him, and so do I. And that she loved him anyway. But the biggest thing I loved about this book was the fact that Dee did not go weak at the knees and forget herself over her attraction of the detective. Truly a great start to the series, and I cannot wait to read book 2 this month. 5 stars. The next book that I picked up helped me to cross off the K prompt on my A to Z bingo board, and I'm so happy it did because I'm not continuing on with this series, and that is book number 2 in the A Year-Round Christmas Mystery series by Vicky Delaney, We Wish You a Murderous Christmas. All I'm going to say is if you're looking for a mystery-heavy, cozy mystery, look no further than this series, but don't go into the series for the Christmas theme, like the title suggests, because it is very weak on that theme. We follow a woman named Mary, M-E-R-R-Y, a Christmas shop store owner in Rudolph, New York. The cozy side includes her puppy named Maddie, who you see there on the cover. While she does work in the Christmas themed store, it's more of a background than an actual overall theme for the series. I feel like Vicky Delaney could have done a whole lot more to make this feel more Christmassy than it actually does. So overall, it disappointed me. But if you prefer your cozies more mystery heavy than theme heavy, you may love this series. It just wasn't for me, and I gave it 3 stars. The next book that I picked up randomly is letter X on my A to Z bingo board, but my sister bought it for me for my birthday a couple of months ago, so I figured I might as well read book 1 now and book 2 later on in the year. And that is book number 1 in the Killer Coffee Cozy Mystery series by Tonya Capes, Scene of the Grind. Now the premise of this one is, with the excitement of the Bean Hive opening and a rush of business, Roxy is moving on with her life until she finds that one of her best customers was found dead after eating Roxy's best-selling donuts, one of them. Gossip in Honey Springs is as hot as the coffee served at the Bean Hive, and Roxy has to uncover who is behind the murder, not only to save her shop, but her life. I thought the book was okay. I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was quite average. I will, of course, go on to book number 2, and yeah, I'll elaborate more in my upcoming reading blog. Forgive me as I take a little bit longer to explain this next book, but the next book that I read was a book that, in my opinion, let's stress that again, in my opinion, is controversial for no really good reason, so let's get to it. The book is book number 1 in the Mahalia Watkins Soul Food Mystery Series, Murder with Fried Chicken and Waffles, and I gave this book 5 stars. Let me explain the controversy, because I know that some of y'all probably don't want to pick up a book if it's controversial, but hey, I don't agree with J.K. Rowling's views, but I love Harry Potter, which is somewhere over there. It's actually hiding there behind the shelves. I love Harry Potter, and so I can separate the author from the book. In this case, the controversy seems to be that this is a series that revolves around African American characters, and it is written by a Latino man, and apparently that is a really big deal. If someone wants to explain to me why that's a really big deal, let me know. This Latino man that wrote this book, A.L. Herbert, is the pen name, but the Latino man who wrote this book wrote it because he loves culinary cozies, and he didn't see any African American representation in culinary cozies at the time, so he figured he might as well put it out there so that African Americans have a voice in the culinary cozy world. I don't see a controversy with that, personally, so if you do, I'm sorry if that's offensive, but I don't. Now you know the controversy, let's talk about the book, because the book was amazing. In this book, we follow Mahalia Watkins, aka Halia, who alongside her cousin Wayvon runs a soul food restaurant called Sweet Tea. Mahalia's key investor and friend is found dead in Mahalia's restaurant. What is she to do? And more importantly, who wanted him dead, given everyone thinks he's a charmingly handsome man? To my thoughts, this book was fantastic. While I understand the controversy, I'm not on board with it, but I will say that Mahalia is a fantastic main character. Granted, she makes a decision I've never seen before regarding the victim early on. Yeah, really interesting, that one. I won't spoil it. But I enjoyed seeing the karma it provided as the book continued forward. Also, the beginning is stuffed with culinary aspects, and the book is littered with recipes throughout the plot, not dissimilar to Haley Powell. While I can see the characterization of Wayvon, Halia's cousin, I wasn't looking for anything outside of the book in our world to compare it to, as, well, it's a book of fiction. As an amateur sleuth, I really enjoyed Mahalia's sleuthing ways, and while no pet features in the first book, which was sad, it didn't bring down the incredibly entertaining book that was Mahalia's, Murder with Fried Chicken and Waffles, and I will get onto book 2 at some point, because I really did love it. 5 stars. Wow, we are over the 30-minute mark, so let's quickly get to the final book that I read. Now, I'm going to be completely fair. I started this book in July, I finished it in August, but to be technical, in my time zone, I finished it half an hour before the 2nd of August, and in some parts of America, it was still the 31st of July. So I'm counting it as a July book, and that's that. It is book number 1 in the fabulous start to a cozy mystery series called the Golden Girls Cozy Mystery, Murder by Cheesecake by Rachel, I think it's Raquel though, Ekstrom, Courage. Anyway, this one, you've probably seen this flying all around booktube with cozy mystery fans. For me, this book did not come out in Australia until the 22nd of July, so I had to wait. Planned to read it in August, finished my rest of my July TBR, picked this up right away and said, well heck, I'll read it in July, and I loved it. Oh my goodness. So, in this book we follow everyone's favorite Golden Girls, Rose, Dorothy, Blanche, and Sophia in Miami, Florida. In this book, Rose is tasked with arranging the St. Olaf wedding of the century for her niece. All of the plans need to be made and catered to, especially given St. Olaf's many traditions for weddings. However, when they arrive at the groom's parents' hotel and are taken to the kitchen to check on the cheesecakes, they find the man that Dorothy was planning to bring to the wedding face down in one of the cakes. He also has a note on him that mentions Dorothy's full name, making her the number 1 suspect. The ladies all band together to sleuth out what is actually going on here. It was fabulous. I will talk more about this in my Reading Weekly vlog. I absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. And book number 2, we already have a title for it. It is called Death on the Lanai, and it is due out in 2026. Rachel Ekstrom, Courage, thank you. I will definitely be getting onto book 2 when it comes out in 2026. 5 stars from me. And we're going to be very careful because I've nearly been buried alive in these books as we play our favorite game. These are all the books that I read. Wow, it was a lot. In the month of July 2025. What books did you read in the month of July 2025? What was your favorite? Let me know in the comment section below. I hope you had a very sparkling July. If you didn't, I don't know if I did, to be honest. Then good news is, we're now in August and we get to start again. Woo! Letting you all go. Peace, blessings, and so much love. Oh my gosh, please do be kind, love one another, and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world. Yeah! And until next time, happy reading. Bye, everyone!